Hey, good morning ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the day of the video done. How's it going today? Today, it is a Monday. It's the first day since the clocks have gone back, so it's actually like light in the morning. I left a bit earlier than normal because kids are back to school, means there's more traffic, means it takes longer to get in, but it took me less time than normal somehow. It was just, I don't know, I was fortuitous with green lights and people letting me out of roads where I get stuck because everyone wants to go that way and I want to go that way. But yeah, so today the plan of attack is to kick off a migration at work, I think, and then otherwise carry on with my refactoring, which is going well. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking into the .NET build CLI to see if I can figure out if there is either a way to decouple it from the command line and then call it directly, or just to figure out like exactly how it behaves so that I know and I can wrap around it better. That's the plan of attack, ladies and gentlemen. After work, obviously we've got shopping and stuff, so we'll be doing that. Just got home and I'm just uploading today's daily vlog. I have a button on my mouse that lets me just pause and play music whenever I turn a light on. I've got a button on my mouse that makes it super easy and super quick to pause music. So obviously you've got like buttons on here, but who the fuck uses that? But I have like a zoom button. I don't know why it's called a zoom button. I've mapped it to play and pause, which plays music on and off. It just played, but I've muted it for copyright. I've also got so look. Wait. If I go like volume up and down, I can do that all with these buttons here, etc. I can play pause, right? Nothing happens for play pause, except Windows has now started bringing up a fucking thing up here, which also appears when you do play pause. It doesn't do it for, wait for it to go away. Piss off. Piss off. It also hangs around way too long. Get out of my face. It doesn't appear for like volume up and down, but it does for play pause, and I find that immensely irritating. To clarify, I'm not 100% convinced I know what this song is. It's probably on my Spotify Discover Weekly, before you berate me. Be like, oh, what do you listen to that for? Or, oh, what a shit song. I don't know. I honestly don't know what it is. So, it actually doesn't sound too bad, but it does sound like it's in French. I've just opened up Visual Studio and I didn't mean to. So I need to figure out how to get rid of that. I'm assuming it's something to do with fucking music. Groove music. Come on. Groove music. Otherwise though, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 5 to 5 and I am already back and my video's already uploaded and described. I need to get back to comments and stuff. I want to do an update on Graham. Graham has moved her cage nest thing down here now, down to the bottom, out of her house. Yesterday when she was, we just thought she might be a little bit ill, we cleaned her out and there was like a lot of like ill-looking poos in her house. So we like cleaned it out as normal, like, and there was like gunk in the corner of like her cage. We like cleaned the bottom of the cage, but we didn't think we forgot about the bit that our house lives on and the house itself. And obviously a house is wood. How do I clean wood? So I think she's moved downstairs now because like upstairs smells like illness, I guess. So tonight we're going to try and get her a new house because that house is a bit battered, to be fair. But try and get her a new house that doesn't smell like illness again. And then also clean that little platform for her. But yeah, that's a little update on Graham. Otherwise, she's been fine though. Like, she's fine, except for the fact she's moved downstairs. She hasn't slept downstairs out of her house since she like first moved in. Since we first got her. So, otherwise though, ladies and gentlemen, why am I back early? Okay, I left work at 4 today instead of 4:30 because at lunchtime I booted up my laptop and my laptop was like, yeah, I'm not going to boot up, bruh. And it turned out its battery was dead. Because I think it did an update overnight. I turned it on and it's like, I've done an update, by the way, Jamie. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But it drained its battery to nothing. So it might have done an update and then not shut itself down properly. And then, yeah, so that was annoying. So I ended up having a half-hour shorter lunch so that I could get back. Because I was like, what's the point of having an hour lunch not doing anything when I could just leave half an hour early and then do half an hour work here before Laura gets back. So that is my plan of attack. It's wearing away now. What are you doing? Are you wearing away or is Atlas wearing away? I think you're wearing away. What are you up to? Why is shit running? Is this why you drained yourself? You're supposed to be off. So I think it might be one of them lovely Windows updates that fucks stuff up. Which actually happens. Oh, it's configuring Windows updates. God damn it, Graham. Right, okay, so I'm back. Just going to do this. Today at work was spent refactoring validators and stuff. I've knocked 50 off of this validator's cyclic complexity. I've still got a long way to go, but it's going well. I hit a couple of roadblocks, got around them, and like I'm on the last little bit of like the mandatory validation, and then it goes on to like the, if you're going full level validation. So that's fun. Otherwise though, ladies and gentlemen, that's about it. Yeah, that's literally it actually today. Just did normal, boring validation and stuff. So I am going to reply to comments, and then hopefully this will have booted up, and then I'm going to have a look through some open source libraries. Okay, so computer's back alive. It's fixed. It was doing an update. Right. So what I've been doing recently then is exploring, well, adding support for the .NET compiler in my project. Now that means I've got twitchy eye. Why is it your eye just twitches sometimes? Just like freaking out for some reason. So I was adding support for this in my project, but the problem is that it doesn't really give you much information, like vis-a-vis what's going on. Because obviously all I'm really doing is running something on the command line, at which point like I don't get to find out much essentially about what's going on in the program without doing some like really quite gross greeping and like just control finding essentially through the bloody program, through the output, which is a bit dirty. What I've thought I'll do is I will pull down the .NET CLI, which is the thing that I'm calling. You can access quite a lot of Microsoft's new stuff. It's all on GitHub. It's actually really good. CLI GitHub. And my thoughts were that I'd be able to go through the code and figure out what it's doing, and then therefore maybe be a little bit better at predicting when it will or won't, like how, when it's successful, when it isn't successful, what it outputs in this scenario, in this scenario, in this scenario, etc. But as I downloaded the code, I realised, here it is, by the way, as I downloaded the code, I realised that what I essentially could do, right, is go through the code, figure out what it does in particular, fork the code, and then make public an API for my program to call. I can essentially skip the command line interface and just go directly into the code. What it's currently doing at the moment is a .NET restore, as it's pulling restore, as it is pulling in the nuke dependencies that it depends on, and then I can build the compiler itself. So the question is, does it make... Oh, is Graham awake? Hello, Graham. You feeling okay, Graham? You just chewing your log? Okay then. So I'm currently trying to figure out whether or not it makes sense to attempt to do this, because I'm imagining that somewhere... I've been looking on the GitHub repository in like my spare time in between builds and stuff, but it's quite difficult to figure out and piece together. So I'm going to open it up in an actual like IDE and see if I can debug it. What's strange, what I imagine is the case, is there's a command line interface on top of a core API that it calls, and Microsoft for some reason haven't just made that public for the .NET Core yet. So I don't see why I won't be able to get the, like, kind of circumnavigate the command line interface and just call that thing in like directly. So if I fork the entire repo, basically strip out all the shit I don't need, and then YOLO with it from that point onwards, then I'm quids in, essentially. Here's my plan. So I'm just trying to build this thing, and it takes quite a long time to do this. It obviously depends on a lot of shit. Right, there we go, I'm just compiling it now, but like, this is the output of this thing. So it's a compilation succeeded, but it doesn't give a summary of like the entire project. It just compiles each project individually, which makes it hard because then I've got to basically go through and make sure I find something that doesn't say compilation failed. Oh, there we go. It's doing stuff. It's doing stuff. Which is why it's going to be difficult to parse this kind of information. And then it's a case of like, how many of these am I expecting? Because it doesn't always compile the same number every time. So, I don't. Oh, okay, never used. Cool. There, look, that project just failed. But like, is that important? And how do I know if that's important? I assume I will never know, but in short, basically I think what I'm going to have to do is search for the word compilation failed. If compilation failed, then the build failed, just like the entire build. I think that's what I'm going to have to do, but I think that's the... But what happens if I do compilation failed, so it's failed, but it was previously failing, in which case it might not even highlight the fact that it failed, because once it's compiled it once, it doesn't recompile everything, it just compiles the things it thinks have changed. So I'm going to have to keep track of which projects have fucking compiled or not. It's going to be a right mess. Or, let's say I keep track of the fact that, in which case I'm going to have to go up and figure out which project... You see what I mean? Basically it's going to be a bitch. So I'm hoping that the internal API is a little bit better. Guys, it just calls another command line process underneath. It calls something called the MSBuild... Right, let's search for this. Okay, so what I've discovered is there is no API. It's another thing that's doing it, and that thing I don't seem to be able to find. It's calling it in a command line process, which I believe is coming from the MSBuild DLL. And MSBuild isn't accessible in my in .NET Core yet. It's the thing that's fucking coming over. The problem I have is the .NET Core, the MSBuild API isn't publicly available yet in .NET Core. It's available in non-.NET Core. That's why I went down this route anyway, but it turns out this thing uses it below the scenes and it essentially just calls it on the command line, and it doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't go, oh by the way, what was the results, what was all the details through the API? It just goes, oh did the final thing work or not? Probably not, don't know. So, essentially until this MSBuild thing becomes part of the .NET framework / becomes in a public NuGet package, I'm a bit screwed. So I think the best plan of attack is essentially to check for the words compilation failed. Okay, so the first time I go through the program, it will compile it. Like, it's not going to not compile it the first time. So I'll figure out whether it failed or not. If it fails that build, then what would happen? Then the project would get kicked out of the program full stop. If I make a change to the code which breaks the build, which can happen and will happen, it will build it, it will say compilation failed, it will then revert the changes and build again. And the act of reverting the changes would mean it would change the projects that failed to build, so the build should be successful. So it should still work. So I should just be able to greet for the words compilation failed, essentially. That is my plan, and I think that's slightly better than just assuming that anything like that a 0 exit code is successful. I don't know, is it? I'm not actually sure, but I think that's going to be my route. Laura's on the way back, so I'm sorting out some rice for dinner. I'm going to start doing a shopping list and stuff, I think, instead of carrying on at this point. So I've basically decided that this is a bit of a dead route, and there's no point carrying on exploring this area until MSBuild comes over, in which case, problem solved, and then maybe the .NET API will appear in the .NET framework. But yeah, it literally is just going off to the command line and calling stuff, like, secretly behind it. It just does that, and then all it seems to do, as far as I can tell, is get the, oh, there we go, rice is ready. All it seems to do at that point is, keep walking in and out, I've moved the timer. I've moved the timer somewhere. And I don't know where I've moved it to. I thought I'd taken it in there with me for some reason. I feel like I might have done. Yeah, so basically I'm living in an imperfect world. There it is, don't know why. I think it's because I was going to bring it in there, and then I ended up getting some biscuits on the way, so. Looks like I'm living in an imperfect world. The best thing I can do is either wait for the exit code, or wait for the or greep that information, and essentially say if the exit code is not 0 or compilation failed appears, then the compilation failed. Essentially, that's going to be the best I can do, I think, which is unfortunate, but that's life. Like I say, it works at this point, and it's like all I need at this point as well. I don't need anything more than this to move on. So I'm going to do that. I'll make those additions tonight and make a note of stuff that needs improving. So there are things that are like nice to haves which I don't need to do yet, which I want to start making notes of in Asana and stuff like that, so I'll populate that later too. Right, Laura is on her way back. She's running a little bit late, so I'm going to be nice and do a shopping list and stuff, and most of the meal plan, because I don't want to plan the week's meals out and then be like, oh lol, what do you want for dinner? Tough, because I've picked it. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a time jump on our hands. It's 12:30 and I am about to go to bed. So what's been going on, ladies and gentlemen? I cooked dinner for Laura, got home, sorted out the shopping list, like final bits that we both need, and then headed on out to go shopping. We went to go and look in the pet shop for Graham's bed. The little bay, unfortunately, her house, like they haven't got any in stock though. So what we've decided to do is we've like deep cleaned this plastic bit now, which we forgot to do yesterday, and we've binned her bed, her like house, because it really smelled grim. So that's in the bin, and tomorrow we're going to be heading down that region, that area anyway, because Laura's got like a delivery that's at a different store, so hopefully we'll be able to pick up a new house for her there, because a little cutie. At the moment, look, she's got like a little, did I show you this earlier? She's got like a little den at the bottom where she's sleeping instead. She's like, what are you looking at, man? I go get some peace, running on my treadmill, keeping my bikini body. But yeah, so but also we've had a like a look around her cage, and she looks like she's better. Like she's got normal poos now, so all good. We think she's over it. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I have been programming. We obviously got back and then like just chilled out for a bit. Laura went to bed. I've been programming since. Got like a lot of time logged in today, which is good. Mainly because Laura was late back, and I knew she was going to be late back, so I was like, I was comfortable in the fact that I knew I had a lot of time after work. It's not because I left work early that I got all the time I needed. The compilation leg of my project is now finished, as far as I'm concerned. It's done to the point where I don't need it to be done anymore, so that's good. It's just a case of now moving on to the next leg. I've got like different parts of it that I want to pay attention to. I've made like a note of all of the different things on Asana, of like what it is that I want, what needs improving, what I need to think about in the future when things become available, and all that kind of stuff. But at the moment I've just been like prepping, I've just merged it into the master branch, and I'm prepping the process of developing the test area now. I obviously have done the test area before, and I know what shortcomings I need to come over. My first test runner, I think, is going to be an internal test runner. I think the problem is I require something quite a lot different to normal test runners in the wild, and I was hoping that XUnit, turns out version 1 of XUnit has what I wanted it to have, but version 2 doesn't have it, and because of like my requirements, I'm going to have to write my own test runner. I'm thinking using reflection, so I'm just going to dive straight in with that. It's something that I tried to write last time. If you remember, last year, or half a year ago or so, I was writing test runners and I had problems with infinite loops and detecting them and killing them when I needed to. In theory that becomes a lot easier to manage when I'm not doing it from behind a test runner. Because usually those test runners spin up a lot of threads. If one of those threads ends infinitely, the main thread doesn't know about it. If you kill the main thread, those bottom threads still live. It's very annoying. I'm hoping that being able to do that via VS test, directly via reflection, will be better. I've obviously got to balance the idea of timing out tests even if running them in parallel. So what happens if a thread goes to sleep? Will it kill a test? Like, I've got to give it enough time basically to actively kill. But I mean, running all the tests using the XUnit test runner at the moment takes about a second. So if I give it like 30 seconds, I don't want to give it too much time, but I'm thinking of having like I've thought about this for the builder as well. Thinking about keeping a log of all the tests and tracking how long they all take, and then having like a variance, like an average duration, and then a variance, rather than saying like, oh, the tests must all complete in less than 30 seconds, which means that I have to wait 30 seconds if one will not complete, which is a waste of time. It might be better to time each one and just time it, average it, time it, average it, time it, average it, and if it goes like out of like a certain sector of like say it normally takes half a second and it takes a second, like double, then kill it. But then obviously like the lower down you get, the shorter the tests, the more fragile that will get. But it's something I'm toying with, it's not something I'm going to fight at any point soon. But yeah, so I'm going to write my own XUnit test runner at some point in the future, and then I'll be able to convert that to other things as well, like a relatively simply as well MS test runner and all that kind of shit, and unit. But yes, then ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be about all for me. I'm about to head off to bed then. Tomorrow, more of the same, programming, but tomorrow we have like a busy day after work because Laura's going to get back. We're going to have dinner, we're going to go out, we need to buy milk because we didn't have any milk in Sainsbury's. We need to get Graham's bed in, we need to go to the gym. We're going to go to the gym later this time, we're going to go at like 8 rather than like 6, so it should be a bit quieter, we hope. Yeah, so it should be a busy day tomorrow. It's a busy week, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm busy quite a lot of the time now, which is nice, I guess. Right, thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you later.